In junior year of high school, I got invited to my first high school party. High schoolers tend to do even more experimenting at parties than they do in science labs, so this was a big deal for me. And I thought this party would be my perfect opportunity to finally kiss a girl. So the day of the party, I had to get in the right mindset. To do this, I went on the website WikiHow. If you've never been on WikiHow, because no competent human being ever has, it's a website with how-to guides for every topic you can imagine. For this day, I went on the how-to guide on how to behave at a high school party. Now, I've got to imagine this website has a pretty small target market. How many people are cool enough to get invited to a party, but lame enough to have to rely on Wikipedia for advice on how to behave at the party? Just me. So needless to say, I spent my whole day on the website. And then came the night of the party. I wanted to get in that right mindset, so I left my house early to take a drive. I listened to songs ranging from Twisted Sister's We're Not Gonna Take It to Justin Timberlake's Sexy Back. I must have closed my eyes for an instant, because right as I was about to bring Sexy fully back, I felt a thud, heard a loud bang, followed by a loud beep. As far as onomatopoeias go, I don't think there are any two worse sounds to hear when driving than a bang and a beep. Luckily, I had not crashed, but the bang was the sound of my tire exploding on a pothole, and the beep was my car notifying me that I was now driving on essentially 3 tires. So I pulled over to the side of the road, fittingly turned on Bohemian Rhapsody, and waited for my father to come save me. For reasons I still cannot comprehend, my father then let me take out his car for the rest of the night. That's like re-electing a terrible president and expecting him to do better in his second term. You laugh, but I know some of you must have voted for George W. Bush in 2004. But I went to the party. I drove up to the party, fashionably late as I was recommended on WikiHow, in my father's car, feeling like a badass motherfucker. Now this party could not have been more conspicuous. The house of the party bordered the busiest 4-way highway in town, and passerby may have been intrigued by the 50 cars lining the street, the music blasting from the house, and the herbal scents accumulating in the backyard. Police would often even sit across the street from this house for a speeding trap. And this is where high schoolers chose to have their biggest party of the year. That's all the evidence you need as proof that Americans are getting stupider. But by disregarding my fear of all the legal repercussions, and I went into the party because I wanted to kiss a girl. And although the knowledge of my flirting up to that point consisted solely of Joey from Friends' famous line, "How you doing?" And I think that line comes off better from a buff Hollywood actor than from an awkwardly shaped teenager. But somehow I ended up flirting with a girl seemingly effectively. And I still remember this girl. This girl had the most beautiful, well-rounded, but firm personality that I've ever been around. And right when I was about to make my move on this girl, someone screamed out the absolute scariest word you can hear at a high school party. Cops. I was in no state to drive, so I followed the people out the back door and through the forest. I followed one kid in particular named Chuck. Chuck had bullied me for years with anti-Semitic comments and quips about my lack of athleticism. And as we were running, remarks like, "What's up, Jew? Tennis practice didn't prepare you to run this fast, Jew?" Remarks like that and prickly thorns in the bushes might have stopped me on other nights, but things are different in moments of desperation. Side note, to all you Jew haters out there, if you're going to hate us, don't use the stuff we invented. That's my rule. If you're going to hate us, don't use the stuff we invented. Now, before you agree to that, because I see a few of you are about to, remember that a Jew invented the polio vaccine, Google, and 90% of the television shows you enjoy. Stick around to the credits next time you DVR an episode of The Bachelor, and you'll see names like Horowitz, Goldberg, Goldblum, Jew. But back to Chuck, my neo-Nazi saving grace. Chuck kindly led me into his house, down into the basement, tossed me a warm beer, and turned on an episode of the television show Lost. The beer may have tasted like I've always imagined cat piss to taste, and on most nights I would have yelled at Chuck for texting on his phone instead of watching Lost and respecting its cinematic artistry. That night was different. Chuck had saved me. He certainly had earned his Googling capabilities and immunity to polio that night. I proudly guzzled down that cat piss. And although I did comment to Chuck on his lack of attentiveness to the show, I did add a pretty reasonable volume. But there I was. I woke up the next morning. I walked upstairs, and I kid you not, sitting at the kitchen table was that girl from the party I'd been flirting with. She was Chuck's younger sister. And so although I would have to wait a whole nother year to finally kiss a girl, I technically did get to go home with the girl from the party I was flirting with. And that, to me, was a success. Addendum, when I later asked Chuck why he had saved me that night, he told me, dude, your dad's a lawyer. He could have saved both our asses if we got caught. Thank you. Good job. Good job.